You've no doubt seen this. High-rises in the hearts of uptown Charlotte. They seemingly pop up every day, but not all are affordable.
At this time, affordable housing has become a big issue in Charlotte as well as the rest of the country. An issue with affordable housing in the city is that there is barely any. Families are being pushed out of their homes due to new developments for higher classes being built, driving up the cost of rent. Families are having to move further away from town in order to find more affordable places to live. The constant moving causes stress on the families that cannot afford the rising cost of rent, and this takes a toll on everyone in the household. It can also cause an unstable home and cause problems in a child's academic life. A family not being able to find affordable housing can have developmental delays and educational deficits.
But until city leaders, developers, and voters commit to doing more, Charlotte's affordable housing problem will likely increase as the population grows.
North Carolina doing about the problem of affordable housing in Charlotte. There have been several city council meetings about the production of living accommodations that attract more wealthy while pushing current residents out. The city plans to create 5,000 affordable housing units in 3 years. Was that really enough? Those 5,000 units can only help a fraction of the people that need it the most. The city should be creating affordable housing units within those new developments that arise every other week. But that is not the case. There is no state law that requires new developments to be designed to accommodate a mixed income community.
The city says it still needs 34,000 affordable housing units, and that's based on the number of households or people who spend more than 30% of their annual income on housing. According to the Charlotte Housing Authority, the population is expected to grow 83% by 2050, and the need for affordable housing is expected to increase by an additional 40,000, bringing the total need to over 70,000 units. 71-year-old Henry Harris survives on $800 a month. Do you ever feel like Charlotte is kind of squeezing out the poor folk not to live here?
All the time. Every way you look at it is growing, so I might as well just be satisfied with whatever I can get and, and just live the best I can,
The average cost of rent in Charlotte is $1,000. This is half of the monthly income of someone's working $12 an hour, 40 hours a week. That's half of one's money gone for rent, and more than likely other bills such as water, electric, and heat are not included. The people cannot afford to live in Charlotte's new developments because most are working minimum wage jobs at $7.25 an hour. So an issue falls on the price of minimum wage as well. Affordable housing and minimum wage should be hand in hand. Minimum wage workers have to overextend themselves just to pay rent. It's the state's job to create affordable housing units for an equal society to maintain social balance and equilibrium. Everyone should have a home to live in that they can afford with sacrificing chunks of their other aspects in their life.
Charlotte at this time and being homeless, I think it's kind of overwhelming and it can be a little bit depressing to be around rich people and millionaires and to have a need and that they want help. But I think that could go two ways because see, you have some that are wealthy and rich that don't hear the cries. To actually sleep in the streets, and whereas you can't go to the shelter in some organizations, so they don't know how it feels to suffer and to have a great necessity, and so I can't fault people for that. And
What would you say to those that hear the cry but don't do anything about it?
To those that hear the cries of the poor and do not, they see you with your backpack, your clothes, they know you're homeless. They don't want to give you a job. And when you ask them for help, then they ignore you. And then when crimes are being committed and people are being robbed and people are stealing from other people, then the wealthy and the rich look and they look like they don't understand why it's happening. But you know, it's a great necessity in this city, and it's a lot of homeless people suffering. And the places where you can go to get help, the organizations, those are the most high crime rate areas, you know, most high drug trafficking areas. And that's why some of the poor choose to go out into the world on their own and try to make it on their own without the help of those organizations because of the probability of the homeless that come here.
Thank you. One thing that I think we have to talk about when we talk about affordable housing is realizing that we do have a lot of workforce housing, but what we don't have is housing for 30% and below AMI. And if we're going to have a discussion about affordable housing, and the city's going to have a discussion about affordable housing, we have to look at all of the things that contribute to that. So I was in the meeting earlier today, and one of the council people asked an important question. How are we going to deal with funding source discrimination, something that we don't talk about a lot? With the Housing Authority, even if we have people with vouchers out on the street, they can still be denied, even if they were to pass the background checks, even if everything checked out. A person can say, I'm not renting you my house because you have a Section 8 voucher. We need to figure out how we can deal with that. It's not just the city that needs to deal with. We need to go to the state and get these things done. We need to look at what it, like even when we talk about being about 60% of reaching our 3-year goal, the question I have is, when we are saying we're at that goal, do we include the affordable units we lose when we lose places like Twin Oaks? Are we really at the place where we think we are? If we're going to really have a conversation about affordable housing, let's have it. If we're going to really do something about affordable housing, let's do it, because this isn't just a problem, this is a crisis, and it's a crisis that we have to treat as a crisis. We are treating the epidemic of drugs as a crisis, and we're dealing with it, and if we really are serious in this city, we've got to deal with this as a crisis. So we need to call on the city council, we need to call on the mayor and everyone who wants to run for mayor to answer us, what are you going to do about this issue? You can't just throw $10 million here, $10 million there.
Don't let your city crumble in front of you. Take a stand against gentrification. Don't let your city push away longtime residents by raising their rent in areas they have spent their entire life. Push for lawmakers to create bills that call for the creation of mixed-income, diverse communities, because if it does not happen, then the city will be eventually suburbanizing poverty.
This issue doesn't only affect the less fortunate, but it also affects college grads like you and me. Do you want to be working like 80 hours a week just to pay for rent? Nah. Do you want to have 15 roommates to live with just to pay rent? Nope. I'm gonna ask you guys one more question. Are you guys living your best life just to freaking live in a house? I think not.
Yeah, I'm living my best life. Made a couple M's, you know. I said I'm living my best life. I said I'm living my best life. Made a couple M's with my best friends. Turned all my L's into lessons.